Hi, everybody. This is my calm voice. Yes, because it's about to get fucking crazy at the Robin Theater. I don't know that Lansing has ever seen a night like this. This is an all-stud, whether you're here for one set or both sets or whatever you're doing. I don't know what you're doing, but you're here, and it's really special. And we have Rudy Francisco in the house. We have Ebony Stewart in the house. We have Natasha T. Miller. We have some amazing poets. Let's make some noise for the poets we have at the Robin Theater tonight. Wow. A really special night. Thank you. When Misaki first said, like, hey, we have, like, 3 incredible poets. We have some great local folks who are going to join the bill. I was like, that's too much poetry, Misaki. What are you thinking? But thanks for proving me wrong. It is a lot of poetry, but I guess it's cool when it's all brilliant. So let's get into a bunch of poetry tonight. What a special event. We have some wonderful guests from out of town. We don't get to see them very often. It's really special they're here. Also, events like this are excellent because we get a chance to see some of our homegrown talent on stage as well. We're running a little short on time. We got to keep this rolling because we do have a pretty quick turnover between the 2 events. So I have so much more to say, but I guess I'll summarize it by saying you are welcome. Please allow yourself to be a human being at this event and feel things and make noise if you feel like making noise. If you feel like validating something you hear on stage, validate it. No one's here to judge you. We all made the decision to come out and have fun and potentially feel an emotion tonight, or maybe several. So please let yourselves do that. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Thank you. So there's a bunch of other stuff to say. Cell phones on silent to vibrate. Mike, thank you for helping at the door. You're great. We got Rudy Francisco, who's going to do a longer set at the end of this first show, and a slew of excellent local folks to open up. Please let everyone know how much you appreciate them, starting with your host for the evening. Let's make a whole bunch of noise for Masaki Takahashi.
Party people in the house, how we doing tonight? This never gets old. Y'all know what to do. Keep the energy going. Clap. Do the claps and all of that. So we also have the Michigan State Cup C team here in the house who's going to be opening up for Rudy as well. And then if you don't have tickets for tonight, I'm not sure if there's any tickets left for the show later with Ebony and Natasha. It's going to be an amazing show. We all appreciate Natasha, the Michigan hero over here. But I want to say something. Like, Ebony has one of the titles of the best titles ever. Like, I'm so jealous of this and wish I would have done it first. And it's called "White Men Say Strange Things to Me." I was like, oh, I wish I thought of that one. Amazing 2 shows back to back, and then I think that we were asked to kind of talk about love, and that's not really part of the department I'm really good at. Very awkward with that, but I will tell you about like my attachment issues. Who has attachment issues? Y'all got attachment issues? Anybody have like mama issues or like dad issues? Woo! Yeah, let's clap it up. Y'all know how to fuck. Let's be honest about that one. Fucking our attachment issues away. And sometimes I don't know what to do. Like I have a strained relationship with my mother. I don't completely blame her. But she wasn't really part of my life. And I appreciate somebody laughing at that. I do, actually. You don't have a mom. I don't, but I don't like. It's part of like my therapist is so dope, and and sometimes I'm not sure if it's my attachment issues, but sometimes when I look at her, I was like, ooh, I would totally hook up with her. You know, I don't know if you feel like that with your therapist, but This is live. I shouldn't do this. Hopefully she doesn't see this. Because, like, it's so hard to find an Asian woman therapist. Fuck that. I ain't risking that shit for shit. And, like... But I don't know why we still do this. This routine trauma check-in. This weekly dose of adolescent demons, these abandonment issues on speed dial. This Sunday morning ritual where I, too, am a child of a God I don't see and only pretend to listen to. I know my mother will call any minute now. And maybe I should be more grateful. But see, she spent most of my life back in Japan, and this ocean isn't what created the distance between us. It's a forgotten familiar of a mother's touch. It's every birthday without her presence. And this is what she calls sacrificing for an American dream, as if this place could give me something that she couldn't. I guess asking her to be my mother was more than she could give. I remember the first time calling for her. It was through toddler tears at the airport where she left me like unclaimed baggage. The irony of how I wanted her to answer the silence of my cries ringing in her ears as she walked away. Now I hit the same call ignore button. I'm in compassion when I hear her voice. I remember thinking, my mom, she's gonna come back for me. When I told her about my aunt's anger often ending in hanger whips across my arms, she, like her sister, that it'd be easier to raise me through a wire. I remember thinking, my mom, she's gonna come back for me. When my uncle's gambling addiction turned our 2-story house into a 3-bedroom apartment. When I told her nobody was ever there to get me from the bus stop. When I told her I ate cereal in silence and fed disregard for dinner. The phone rings and I still answer. She tells me I can't blame her for trying to give me what she thought was gonna be a better life. I tell my mom, you are a piece of work of art, an abstract portrait of absence, all watercolor cries and drawn out drama. This isn't about me, is it? This is about how you want me to watch you hang yourself like a masterpiece in a mezzanine every Sunday. This is about how you abandon me, hurt you more, and I'm just a picture-perfect Polaroid, polarizing pain, appalled from your years of apologies. To you, my childhood is nothing but a stolen canvas, looking for someone to frame. She calls me every Sunday. Her pride is a full voicemail that never seems to get the message. Every week, I have to relive an absence of a mother who does not seem to understand. Parenting is not a calling that you can just redial. Some days, I still wonder why I still answer this phone. The lump stuck in my throat is a grenade with the pin halfway pulled. And she doesn't even realize my unresolved issues are on the line, listening in, waiting to explode.
Yeah. See, I get special treatment for that, yeah. The thing about, like, doing a poetry show about love is you're like, oh, I'm going to be so, like, happy. Like, what the fuck? It's just really sad. Becomes, like, you're the therapist. I kind of like that. But, so I'm going to take the fall. I will bring the sweet, sappy love shit. If you, okay, fine. If you want to hear it, we'll do it. Everything there is to write comparing love to the ocean has already been written. Trust me, I've tried. And at the end of the day, it always washes out too easily. The salt lasts only until you shower. The view lasts only until you fly home. If I want to write about you, I have to think bigger. Something that is more everywhere. If I want to write about you, I need to write about the sand. I need to write about thousands of pieces clinging together, known only in each other's company and never found apart. Never one piece of me found without a piece of you somewhere nearby. We are one body, one unending shore, millions of sea cliffs cracked and ragged, dissolving into each other at the hands of the sea. Eroding away the parts of us that were too harsh, yet somehow still too fragile, until we are one puddle of rock, holding on so tight that we never end up alone. We are both young and old, every lifetime that has ever been and ever will be, and we are everywhere. Pairs of shoes, corners of showers, in the grooves of car tires, stuck between teeth, bared or smiling, laughing or crying. The world could not be more full of us, my love, and we could not be more full of it. That is the kind of love I see in you. You are stuck perpetually between my fingers, in my hair, in our bed. It is nothing short of a miracle. The way our love builds castles, no matter how many times the water smooths us back into the ground. It is nothing but exceptional. The way we pick each other back up, no matter what may drown us. And I am nothing but the luckiest person alive to have found what makes up the other part of my shore, the way your face cracks into color like an emerging yolk of an egg when you learn something new, the half moons of your eyes as your body stumbles into its waking up, the stickiness of your laughter that clings to me like syrup, sweet, rich, kind, and never enough. I am yours the way you are mine. Trying to separate us would be like trying to pick up individual grains of sand. So, I want you to hold me close tonight, under a blanket of waves, under a sky full of stars, until we cannot tell where I stop and you begin. Thank you.
Okay, hey guys. Thanks for coming, and thanks for having me. I don't usually write love poems, but I was really excited to do this one, and it made me want to write them more, so I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, this is called Love as the Orange. 3 days ago, my father DM'd me a video of an orange on Instagram, and I started crying. In the back of my mind, there is one quiet room. I put all the things I do not really know together, and they sit on the bed before I come in. If I could tell you I love you, like the wet slice of fruit sucking in my mouth, clipped to the roof, innate, believe I could say it and scrape it all out perfectly, maybe I could get it all right. I'm always worried about the way things go. But for a thing to do something, you must promote it with an emotion. So if you always promote it with love, you will never have to worry about what the things do, because they will be rooted in the love. And there's really no need to worry if things do anything, because if you have an orange and you peel it and share it with someone you love, then that is enough. I spend a lot of time thinking sad work means more than something simple like a love poem, but I think this orange is the most complex thing I've got, because actually, this isn't so harsh. This is the deepest thing I have, because I know how everyone talked about my grandfather after he passed away. I know this because I became an older sister, and I know what it's like to stand in the bar bathroom as a teenage girl. I know all about braiding hair and cursive and making lists of things you wish for. I know about birthdays and Christmas cards and my parents when my dad hugs my mom tightly. I've seen people cry, and I watch the trees undress every year. I know about how people tell stories and cook dinner and knit scarves. I've let strangers pierce my ears and touch my face and cut my hair. I know what it's like to scrape myself clean and doll her up all over again. I know how to clean my naked body in the shower. I know what it means to share a pillow. Because each night in the quiet of my room, I am actually pretending we are a married couple, consoling a child who had a nightmare. I would give you all my daydreams. I know because I accidentally looked over your shoulder as you were texting your mom, because I've been alive for every single one of my brother's birthdays, and this place changes a little every day so we can paint pictures of it. I know all of this because if I were an orange, I would hope two people would rip me in half and share me. Juice lapped up and peel scraped clean, everything composted to be born again. It's simple. It's recycling. It's showing something you care enough about it to let it go try again. I know because my father sent me a video of a woman squeezing an orange and said, Claire, if you were an orange and someone squeezed you, love would come out. I know what love is, actually. I do. And I know I am a person rooted in the act of loving like a person does. I know love is a citrus fruit. And I know it's large and made to be shared, and I think this is a good list. I am young, and I know what love feels like, and this is the most complex thing I'll ever write. on the nightstand next to the bed in the room where it's quiet, where we share pillows and bodies sleeping, is a sliced orange and a glass of water. I love you. I want you to have this. This I know. 3 days ago, my father DM'd me a video of an orange on Instagram, and I started crying. I wonder if he knows. I'm sure he does. Thank you.
How you guys doing tonight? So I'm a little bit of a different poet, so I feel like if I had to write about love, I got to do a little something extra. So if anyone in this room has ever been heartbroken, I want you to say, because this is a healing poem right here, say the name of the person who broke your heart right now. Ainsley. Well, I'm going to say it. I'll say it. Say their name right now. I want to hear it. Okay. Now I'm ready to do this poem. You are not the sun or the moon, but the place my feet calls home. That's my less cliche way of saying that I'd be a fool to chase after the cosmos when you are my world. The embodiment of my devotion. I always knew others admired your beauty, but you didn't care that you were a muse. My Mona Lisa. You never painted on a smile, and I adored you for it. You were a priceless work of art. I laughed at Da Vinci every time you kissed me. I felt like a thief, like I was trying to sign my name on someone else's masterpiece. Ainsley, when I was asked to write about love, I wrote a million other poems because I was afraid to write about you. None of what I just said is really true. The truth is, when I told you that she was my world, what I meant was that planet was Krypton. And I am so lucky to have escaped, to have found a new home. She, however, really did take my breath away. Ergo, she sucked the life out of me. Drained every drop of color from the canvas. If you were a painting, Van Gogh would have named you a night devoid of stars. But for some reason, when I tell others about a relationship, I always describe you as a supernova. I let you stick a needle through my skin, and you hit the threads, and when the blood dried, we called it a tapestry. It's no wonder I can't forget about you. You taught me to weave falsehoods. Now, I want you out from under my skin. Thank you.
What's up, Lansing? How we doing? All right, so I'm gonna do some poems, right? Throughout these poems, if you like what you hear, you can let me know, right? You could do a couple different things. You could snap your fingers. Let's try it together. We can snap our fingers, right? You could also respond vocally. You could say, "Ooh." Let's try it together. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, that was good. Who's that? That was you? Hey, that was great. Fantastic. All right, you could also say, "Let's go." You can also throw in like an amen, hallelujah, Jesus, take the wheel. If you're Jamaican, you can do that gunshot noise. I don't know what that's called, but yeah, exactly, right? So somebody did it the other day. I was like, oh, that's not it. But that was good. That was good. All right, so let's go. First poem is a short poem. It's called A Few Things I Strongly Believe. If you believe in these things, you can nod your head. You can snap your fingers. If you don't believe in these things, you can not do anything, I guess. Here we go. It's a short poem, so when it's over, don't be weird. Here we go. A few things I strongly believe. I believe that sour apple flavored anything is delicious. I believe that orange juice tastes better with pulp. I believe that Cinnabon is made by angels. I like Arizona iced tea, right? But I also believe that 24 ounces of anything for $1 might actually be poison. I believe that that masculinity is a wet fish that most men are just trying to hold on to. And smiling before a fight is the quickest way to make your opponent nervous. I believe that that music is easier to digest than medicine. I believe that a good song can turn any room into a church. I believe that Whitney Houston's voice is all the proof I need to know God exists. That's it, it's over. I told you, don't be weird. All right, so this next poem, I call it my honest poem, and not that my other poems aren't honest, right? I got a friend, my friend's name is Richard. He hates poetry, but he supports me, right? One day he was like, Rudy, I gotta tell you something. And I go, what's up? And he goes, you know what? I don't understand any of your poems. I was like, you've been watching me for 4 years. He goes, yeah, man. It's like, oh shit, okay. And I asked him, I was like, what do you recommend that I do? And he said, I want you to write something that's about you and that's just really honest. Around this time, I had got into doing poetry slam, which is competition, right? And what I realized is that I started writing to do well in competition instead of writing because I felt like I needed to. I remember being in the slam and performing and listening to myself and going, whose voice is this? Right? So I scrapped all those poems. I started over with this poem. If you're ready for the poem, say, let's go. Let's go. I was born on July 27th. That makes me a Leo. I don't know what that means. I'm 5'6.5". I weigh 175 pounds. I don't know how to swim, and I'm a sucker for a girl with a nice smile and clean sneakers. I'm still learning how to whisper. I'm often loud in places where I should be quiet. I'm often quiet in places where I should be loud. I was born feet first, and I've been backwards ever since. I like ginger ale a lot. I've been told that I give really bad hugs. People say that it feels like I'm trying to escape. Sometimes it's because I am. Secretly, I get really nervous every time someone gets close enough to hear me breathe. I have this odd fascination with things like sandcastles and ice sculptures. I assume it's because I usually find myself dedicating time to things that will only last a few moments. I guess that's also why I tend to fall in love with women who would never love me back. I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually much easier than it seems. And to be honest, I think it's safer that way. See, relationships, they often remind me that I'm not afraid of heights or falling, but I'm scared of what's gonna happen the moment that my body hits the ground. I'm clumsy. Yesterday I tripped over my self-esteem. I landed on my pride and it shattered like an iPhone with a broken face. Now I can't even tell who's trying to give me a compliment. I've never been in the military, but I have this Purple Heart. I got it from beating myself up over things I can't fix. I know this sounds weird, but sometimes I wonder what my bed sheets say about me when I'm not around. I wonder what the curtains would do if they found out about all the things I've done behind their backs. I've got a hamper that's overflowing with really, really loud mistakes and a graveyard in my closet. I'm afraid that if I let you see my skeletons, you'll grind my bones into powder and get high on my fault lines. Hi, my name is Rudy. I enjoy frozen yogurt, people watching and laughing for absolutely no reason at all. But I don't allow myself to cry as often as I need to. I have solar power confidence. I have a battery operated smile. My hobbies include editing my life story, hiding behind metaphors, and trying to convince my shadow that I'm someone worth following. I don't know much, but I do know this. I know that heaven is full of music. I know that God listens to my heartbeat on his iPod. It reminds him that we still got work to do. Thank you. So this next poem that I want to do. So I have a daughter. My daughter's 6. You can clap it up for that. I think that's cool. You know, procreation. It's important, right? Future of the civilization, I suppose. And she is hilarious. Like, she has an attitude probably like 98% of the time. So one time, right? So what's funny is that, like, if she's mad at you and she's talking about you to somebody, she doesn't talk about you as who you are to her. She talks about you as who you are to the person that she's speaking to. I'll explain, right? So one day, she's upset about something. She's like in the back seat. She's like, she has an attitude, right? So I'm dropping her off at my mom's house because they hadn't seen each other for a while. I'm gonna go run some errands, and then I'll come back and I'll get her, right? So I drop her off, I run my errands, I come back, I walk in, my daughter turns to me, and then she turns to my mother, and she goes, "Your son is here." And I wanted to be bad, right? But I was like, that's also hilarious. Simultaneously, like me and my dad, we didn't have a good relationship growing up. We went like 5 years where we didn't say a single word to each other. You know, he's getting older, I'm getting older, so I try to be there for him as much as I can. And so one day, we're in his garden, right? And we're pulling leaves, and So my middle name is Kayam, right? And I had no idea where that came from. So we're pulling weeds in this garden, and I'm like, hey, my middle name is Kayam. My mom says that you chose the name. Where did that come from? And he says, I named you after my favorite poet. And then he went back to pulling weeds. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? He goes, yeah, when I was in undergrad, I had to read this poem, and it was a poem by Omar Khayyam, and it was a great poem, and I said to myself, you know what, someday I'm gonna give my son the name, and maybe he'll become a writer. And then he went back to pulling weeds, and I was like, you know I write poems, right? And with all honesty, he turns to me, he goes, damn, that's crazy. Bro, what? This is my origin story, you know what I mean? Like, stressing me out. So I've been thinking about my relationship with my father and my relationship with my daughter, and I was thinking a lot about masculinity around this time, and I chose to write this poem. If you're ready for the poem, say, let's go. And the article says, the Mexican government confiscates approximately 30,000 illegal firearms per year. When the guns are taken, they get dismantled, and the metal is used to make other types of weapons that will later be utilized by their military. In 2012, Pedro Reyes, an artist from Mexico City, convinced his government to donate the guns to him, and he turned them into musical instruments. So somewhere, there's a tambourine, a drum set, a guitar, all made out of things that were used to take people's lives, but now they create a sound that puts life back into people's bodies, which is to say, a weapon will always be a weapon, but we choose how we fight the war. And from this I learned that even the most destructive instruments can still create a melody worth dancing to, and sometimes don't we also call that a battle? I wonder how long it took to convince the first rifle that it can hold a note instead of a bullet, but still fire into a crowd and make everyone move. When I was 6, I was taught how to throw a punch. In the 80s, that was the anti-bullying movement. The first time one of my classmates took a yo mama joke a little too far, I remembered my training, so I turned his nose into a fountain, my fist 5 pennies, I closed my eyes, I made a wish, I came home with bloody knuckles, and it was the first piece of artwork my family hung on the fridge. I remember staring at my hands the same way you stare at a test when all your answers are correct. I didn't know what class this was, but I did know I was passing, and isn't that what masculinity has become? A bunch of dudes afraid of their own feelings, terrified of any emotion other than anger, constantly yelling at the shadows on the wall, but still haven't realized that we're the ones standing in front of the light. We learn how to dodge a jab. We learn how to step in before we swing. We learn the heart is the same size as the fist, but we keep forgetting they don't have the same functions. We keep telling each other to man up when we don't know what the fuck that even means. We turn our boys into bayonets. We point them in the wrong direction. We pull their triggers, and then we ignore all the damage they're doing in the distance. The word repurpose, it means to take an object and give it amnesia. It means to make something forget what it's been trained to do so you can use it for a better reason. I am learning that this body is not a shotgun. I am learning that this body is not a pistol. I am learning that a man is not defined by what he can destroy. I'm learning that a person who only knows how to fight can only communicate in violence, and that shouldn't be anyone's first language. I'm learning the difference between a garden and a graveyard is only what you choose to put in the ground. You see, once I came across a picture of a strange-looking violin. The caption said that it was made out of a rifle. I thought to myself, someday that could be me. Thank you. How y'all doing? Y'all still good? Word. This next poem that I want to do, so like early 2019, I was really struggling with my mental health, right? And so being an introvert and being a performer is a weird experience, right? It's weird because I tell y'all all of my business, and like then y'all leave. and then I never see most of you ever again. It's wild, right? It's like, because, we're talking, I'm telling stories, we're laughing together, we build a rapport, you know what I mean? And then when everybody's gone, there's this really, like, lonely feeling that happens. It's like when you have people at your house, people that you like, right? At your house, right? And they're there for a few days, and then when they leave, your house kind of feels empty a little bit. Like you have to readjust to like them not being there. That's what it's like when I perform pretty much every time. And so one time I'm telling the story, right? And a woman, she yells out, "Well, you don't have to be alone tonight." I was like, sis, this is probably the worst time to shoot your shot, right? And I get it, like shoot or shoot, right? But I was like, I'm talking about like my depression right now. Like you can't, you gotta wait, you gotta circle back later. You know what I mean? But just to go back on that, I decided to take some time off because I was having a real tough time. I was like, I'm gonna take like 6 months off, right? And then the world took like 2 years off. But right before I stopped touring, I decided to write a poem about my mental health struggles. So this is what I came up with. You ready for the poem? Say, let's go. Let's go. During the winter of 2015, the residents of Hampton Bay, Long Island woke up to what they say was the worst smell they had ever experienced. Mysteriously overnight, 1,000 fish had died in the canal. After thorough analysis, they found that the oxygen levels in the water were too low, and all the fish had drowned. Upon hearing the news, a lot of people had questions like, how does a fish drown? Don't they have gills? Don't they have a fin and a tail? They said things like, aren't they built to survive in that environment? And perhaps this is the best analogy for my depression. This angry deity, this jealous God, this thirsty shadow that wrings my joy like a dish rag, turns every conversation into a conveyor belt that always begins with the phrase, "You look tired today." To be honest, getting out of bed has become a magic trick, and I'm probably the worst magician I know. This sadness is the only clean shirt I have left in my washing machine. Has been broken for months. When people ask me how I'm doing, I want to say that my daughter is 6 years old and I'm still not sure if I'm a good father. I want to say that my dad is being diagnosed with dementia. There might be a day when I walk in the room and he doesn't recognize me, and I've always wanted us to start all over, but I guess you got to be careful about what you ask for. I guess when you pray for something, you have to be a little more specific. I want to say that crickets have been known to eat their own wings, and I too have a tendency to destroy what helps me get off the ground. I really want to say that I'm kind of fucked up right now, but that's not a polite answer. So instead I pretend it's Halloween. I jack-o'-lantern my face into something acceptable. I tell others I'm fine until it sounds like the truth, but sometimes there's a help me chained to the ankle of an I'm doing okay. Sometimes I'm fine is the quickest way to say I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes all the oxygen in the room becomes water. I feel like I'm sinking to the bottom, like I'm running out of air, but I made a promise to myself that I won't be another drowning fish, that I will not die in this canal. I heard that if you just take a deep breath and relax, the human body will naturally float on top of the water. So I breathe and I tell myself that it's going to be okay. I cry, but I tell myself that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, because I know there is a better version of me somewhere in the future. He is staring at this moment right here, and he is saying, Rudy, thank you for not giving up on us. You see, a few days ago while I was reading, I saw a run-on sentence, and I thought, it could have just ended right there. But it found a reason to keep going. I smiled and I said, same. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so this next poem, I'm just about to jump into it. Y'all ready? Here we go. So my daughter is 6 years old. Right now, her favorite game is hide and seek. Funny part is, she always tells me where to hide. She says, you go right there, I'll count, and then I'll come find you. And I know, it's not how the game is played. I was supposed to find a good spot, hide behind a door, a couch, inside a closet. I was supposed to make her look all around the house and figure out where I am, but I don't do any of that. because I know how it feels to wonder where your father is. Thinking, I know he has to be here somewhere. I come from a long line of boys who had to pick out their own razors and teach themselves how to shave. A lineage of young men who threw footballs in the air and then watched them land on the ground. We are echoes in a cave trying to love the frequency of our own noise but have no idea where it comes from. The first time I got an A on a test, I whispered, "I'm proud of you" to myself just so I can hear what it might sound like in a man's voice. The first time I scored a touchdown, my football coach hugged me and I said, "Thanks, Dad," on accident. I've copy and pasted my father into all of my best moments and then felt guilty for not appreciating him for showing up. It's fascinating how the human mind will do backflips if you just give it enough time to stretch. To be honest, I thought this feeling was a pair of hand-me-down jeans, something too big for me right now, but a garment I would grow into and then grow out of as I got older. But here I am still trying to be a father to my daughter and myself. And this is usually the part of the story when I say I don't know who my dad is. I tell you, I can look at 5 different pictures and not know which one is responsible for half of my DNA, but did you know that that distance and proximity can eat at the same table? Did you know that a house can feel like an entire planet and silence can turn 2 rooms into countries on opposite sides of the world? Silence is my first language and lonely is an accent that I still can't get rid of. I was told that my father left for the Vietnam War, but only his body came home, and I have no idea who he was before PTSD grabbed him by the happiness. My father is one of the many rocks that America threw at another country. Eventually, that country decided to throw him back, but every day I watched the ghost open my front door, walk right through me without flinching, and my entire childhood was an event with no RSVPs. Once a friend said, "At least your father didn't leave you," and I replied, "At least yours only did it once." They say that an apple always falls close to the tree. What they don't tell you is that if someone picks it up, it'll go as far as they do. Luckily, it's my daughter's favorite fruit. So when she says, "Let's play hide and seek," I say yes. When she says, "Wait right there," I say yes. When she says, "Dad, you're so easy to find," I say, "Well, yeah, baby girl, I'm always right here." Thank you. I think I still got time for like 2.5 more. I think it's 2.5, 1.5. Okay, we'll just. All right, so the new book is coming out at the end of the year. Yeah. So right. So that poem is gonna be in the new book, and then I was in a workshop, right? In the workshop, we used Jeffrey McDaniel's "A Quiet World" as a teaching text, and the writing prompt was to write a poem inspired by that, right? So this poem is after Jeffrey McDaniel, and here we go. Y'all are awesome. All right, here we go. In an effort to eradicate meaningless conversations, the government has passed a new law. From now on, all greetings, hello, hi, hey, what's up, have been replaced with the phrase, "I love you." When a stranger is lost, they say, "I love you," before they ask for direction. The cashier at the grocery store says, "I love you," before paper or plastic. It's the first thing a child hears when they are born. All conversations have a tender urgency, a soft importance. I love you before anything else. There is no more small talk. Thank you. Can I do a love poem? Is that all right? Yeah. All right, here we go. How many of y'all are in love? No one. Great. Like, whatever, it's hard out there, you know what I mean? The streets aren't for everybody, All right, here we go. My grandmother, she once told me that she believes that the average girl begins to plan her wedding at the age of 7. It tells me that she picks the colors and the cake first. By the age of 10, she knows the time and the location. By 17, she's already chosen a gown and a maid of honor. By 22, she's waiting for somebody who doesn't break out in hives when they hear the word commitment. Someone who doesn't smell like a Band-Aid drenched in lonely. Someone who is more than a temporary solution to the empty side of the bed. Someone that'll hold their hand like it's the only one that they've ever seen. To be honest, I don't know what tuxedo I'll be wearing. I have no clue what my wedding will look like. But I imagine the woman who pins my last name to hers will butterfly down the aisle like a 5-foot promise. I imagine that her smile will be so big that you will see it on Google Maps and you will know exactly where our wedding is being held. The woman that I plan to marry, she will have champagne in her walk and I will get drunk on her footsteps. When the pastor asks me if I take this woman to be my wife, I'll say yes before he even finishes the sentence. I'll apologize later for being impolite, but I'll also explain to him that our first kiss happened 6 years ago and I've been practicing my yes for the past 2,190 days. When people ask me about my wedding, I never really know what to say, but when they ask me about my future wife, I always tell them that her eyes are the only Christmas lights that deserve to be seen all year long. I tell them that if I could, I would shapeshift into the first thing she thinks about in the morning just to make sure no matter where I am in the world, I will always wake up next to her. I tell them she has a walk that can make an atheist believe in God just long enough to say, God damn. I tell them that if my alarm clock sounded like her voice, my snooze button would collect dust. That if she came in a bottle, I would drink her until my vision is blurry and my friends take away my keys. I tell them that if she was a book, I would memorize her table of contents. I'd read her cover to cover, hoping to find typos, just so we can both have something to work on, because aren't we all unfinished? Don't we all need a little editing? Aren't we all waiting to be read by someone praying that will tell us that we make sense? She don't always make sense. But her imperfections are the things I love about her the most. I don't know when I'll be married. I don't know where I'll be married, but I do know this. Whenever I'm asked to describe my future wife, I do so as best as I can. And every single time, she sounds a lot like you. Thank you. All right, last poem. Y'all ready? All right. Here we go. On days like this, I think of all the things that I could be. I choose to be happy. On days like this, I think of all the accessories I could wear. I choose a smile. On days like this, I think of all the names I can call myself. When I say grateful, worthy, I say still here. On days like this, my mind, body, and spirit turn into a 3-piece band, and they're playing all their greatest hits like joy and laughter and letting go of anything that doesn't make me feel like the best version of myself. I'll be honest. I don't know much, but I know a few things about a broken heart. It's probably the worst injury you can have. Happens to us all. Luckily, it doesn't last forever. I know a few things about revenge. It doesn't change what already happened, and it won't make the pain go away. Revenge is like starving yourself while making a meal for someone who isn't even hungry. It's like holding your breath and hoping all your enemies somehow run out of oxygen. I know a few things about forgiving. It's harder than it looks, but it feels a lot better than it sounds. I heard while leaving Sodom, Lot's wife wanted to see what was happening, turn around, and was transformed into a pillar of salt. I know a few things about leaving. If you take too much time packing your stuff, you'll convince yourself to stay longer than you planned, but when you finally do it, you can't look back. I know a few things about healing. It's not a good employee. It shows up when it's ready, only works when it wants to. I know a few things about self-care. It's not as fancy as it looks on Instagram. Sometimes it looks like drinking a glass of water. Sometimes it looks like laying down. Sometimes it looks like putting on your favorite song and dancing like the room is on fire, but you are an ice cube that does not know how to melt. I know a few things about my body. It's the only one that I have, and it becomes everything I say it is. My body does not like to raise its voice. My body does not like to ask me to rest more than once, and if I don't listen, it'll go on strike when I need it the most. I know a few things about my mind. It's the most powerful tool that I own. If I say I am, then I will be, and all of my success begins with what I believe about myself. I know a few things about my spirit. It's not something I can point to or draw a picture of, but I know that it's there. I can feel it when I breathe, and it holds me together on days when I feel like I'm falling apart. I know a few things about life. Being human is difficult. Being a good human is even harder, but it's still something I would like to accomplish while I'm here. I know a few things about me. I hate mustard. I think raccoons are terrifying, and I've made a lot of mistakes, but I know a few things about tomorrow. It's kind of like a shadow. It's hard to see when the sun isn't bright, but regardless, it's there. It's there like the moon and the stars, and some days I look up at the night sky and I'm reminded that people and planets aren't so different. We all have an orbit. Our energy decides what comes into our atmosphere. We all have our own gravity. Thank you so much. That is my time. Yeah, real quick, before, thank you. But I want to give a huge shout out to the person who organized all of this and is the reason why we're here. Give it up for Masaki. All right, y'all, thank you.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Hello. If you're in the house, may I hear you? Delightful. Wow. What a special night. It's already just been so wonderful. Welcome back to those of you who already were here for an amazing set from Rudy Francisco. Yes. Yes, welcome back, and welcome to those of you who are just joining us for an amazing show featuring two phenomenal, incomparable spoken word poets. We have Ebony Stewart and Natasha T. Miller in the house tonight. And some very special guests that will be joining us as well. My name's Dylan. I run the Robin Theater. Pardon me if you already heard this little bit of the spiel earlier, but for those of you who are just joining us, I just want to make sure you know that you are welcome here. I want you to know that it's okay to be a human being here at the Robin, to feel things, to make some sound if you feel so moved. Yes, that works. That definitely works. I want you to know that there's no one here to judge you, that we're here to have fun, and in fact, you're surrounded by a bunch of people that all made that same decision tonight to come out, to risk feeling something, to risk being out amongst your community. I don't think y'all really seem to have too much of a problem with that, but we're all here to have fun and enjoy each other's company, right? So we're going to do that tonight. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. So again, you're welcome, and have some fun tonight. Yeah, we have some great poets in store. So I think I'm just going to end my remarks there. We'll have plenty of words coming out of this microphone and through those speakers in just a moment. So I'd like your help with one last thing, and that is let's practice getting as loud as possible for your host, the founder of the Poetry Room, a wonderful human being, your host for the evening, Masaki Takahashi.
Hello. Okay. I'm so excited to be here. Opening for Natasha and Ebony, which are like some of the loveliest poets I've ever witnessed, heard about. I come from a really small country called Botswana. There's 2 million people in the entire country, and I've been constantly exposed to black women, but I've never been exposed to black women who are poets as well. So it's very exciting. Also, growing up, the only people I interacted with were black people. My primary school, it was entirely black. So everything I felt did not relate to my race. Everything I did not relate to my race. It was just like me being a human because everyone looked like me. And I only really felt like a black woman or felt very much aware of it when I came to America. And there were so many different races around me, and I go to PWI, so yeah. So this poem's about that. I come to America and suddenly I become black woman. A melanated embrace gently warning me of the avalanche approaching, tells me there will be hostage in the land of the free, tells me that the blue, red, and white I saw in the movies is a different hue in the flesh. This flesh might go before you, and you might begin to see the blue, red, and white for who he really is. I come to America and suddenly I become black woman, a fresh fire for the fruition of freedom turned to fantasy. The white man at the airport searches my suitcase 3 times, looking for the mechanics and tangible scheming material I will use to bring his people down. And he finds tampons and a Bible and fragments of his daughter, and still gives a look that demands that I take up my armor. So I do. When he tells me he will have his teeth against my neck, I must believe him. I come to America and suddenly I become black woman, my skin the cement of my identity. I must learn to rest seamlessly between the bricks and recognize that they too went to war to keep this house afloat. Before I am called woman or person or child, black woman will be my name. Kanye will pummel between a realm of tongue twisters and get lost in translation. But black woman will be memorable. A single gaze at her brown revelation will call for an opinion, maybe a smile, maybe a grave. Black woman is easy to pronounce, but not so easy to speak. That is where the blue, white, and red questions its shade, when the brown that left sorrow residues on their cotton fields still cannot rest on their tongue. Black woman is convenient for the masses on the tongue, but person-specific on the heart. Black woman sometimes becomes the heart when she becomes a mother, a mind when she becomes a poet, a soul when she's given the paintbrush, but to some, just a body when she becomes anything. Kanye comes to America and she becomes black woman. She becomes Kanye for the second time. She becomes culture woven into skin. She becomes Africa's untold story finally told. She extracts the accent from her buried breath and makes eucalyptus out of eulogy. She forsakes the armor, the airport strapped against her ribs. Kanye will make gaps in your teeth and pull your throat out so everyone knows how beautifully difficult she can be. She will demand that you get to know her, read her poetry. Kanye loves to write poems about black women, but black woman has a foreign taste for stringing words together for a woman who has never had to wear her every day. I come to America and suddenly I become black woman. And in the ripples of local breath, I hear the burgundy black voices whispering to me, telling me that America will test if I can swim, if my skin can swim, telling me about how I would have to start naming aspects of my humanity in order for them to exist comfortably. My love would be called black. My joy would be called black. My emotions carefully preserved and ripened in this one word. A noun turned adjectived across ocean. An unspoken societal African riz suddenly needing to be spoken. Black woman seeped into my body like an alter ego encountering her fraternal twin, unlearning herself as a language and morphing into a skin. Thank you. If I could have my accent for dinner, I imagine it would be the fill you up till you forget you have a body kind of dinner. The dinner where your hands morph into eating utensils, where your heartbeat feels less like a cage and more like the changing of seasons. The dinner that reminds you that things can be good. We would all have our elbows on the table and chew with our mouths open and our handcuffs on the floor. We would sink into the hollow, boundless sublime in my stomach and wallow in the taste of my tongue twister. In the corner of our throats, our feet on the blue circles of the way I say water. Water. Water, I'll say it more in case anyone wants seconds. Our hands on the red circles of the way I say love. Love, because maybe he left you fasting and you needed to be reminded that you're famished. I imagine indigenous fruits would protrude out of the corners of the plate. Papaya bleeding praise songs onto our glands, regaining feelings in our hands after carrying our families in our intestines and not being able to ingest anything unfamiliar, no prayers to be said before this feast, this belly beast whisperer, this menstruation Nile River replica. I imagine my accent would make periods feel like candy or coconuts, or one of those Disney movies that set up camp at the back of your heart. God knows these clicks and sounds are the epitome of nourishment. No rich man can replicate this grand food fiasco, this limitless lemon laughter looming lover, this chaotic esophagus invader, this monster that feels like home, this father that walks us to school, this ocean that comes to us on call. I imagine my accent is breakfast, dinner, and lunch, making love or fighting, or finally in the same room. It fulfills all dietary requirements and has no calorie reading, so you won't have to step on mental scales before you rest in this body image diminishing block party. My accent would be the intertwining of artistry, Shakespeare giving Travis Scott a massage, a uniting of masculinity, an untangling of nooses, my flowered flesh stretching across the tablecloth for everyone to share, the meal that pulls all our mental caskets out of their graves. Thank you.
Thank you, Masaki. I hope that's true. I hope that's true. I don't know. All right. Okay. It might be true. I hope so. We're going to take it anyway. How y'all feeling? Y'all okay? Very cool. Real quick, thank you to Masaki, Dylan, everyone that was a part of making this happen. We really appreciate being here. Those of you who are here, we appreciate you as well. Yeah, like, let's just get into it, because I don't know what I want to say yet. Talk my shit. So me and all my badass walk into a bar, a club, a runway, or just any day, and I got my grunge turned up. Got an all-black everything, including my skin, but make no mistake, I look good in anything, because all my amazing popped into Bantu, a bald, a mohawk. I'm so punk rock, I got dreads for the dreaded. Sister curls on swirl, but underneath it all, my nature be natural. Star-studded spiked and a boss bitch for anybody who want to try me, I'm just saying. I'm so hardcore, I get to be a black woman, moshing through this life, swimming through all this pain, even while restrained, I reclaim. Hold me down long enough and I'll figure out how to turn these chains into a crown. Bust it down and make sure it fit a black woman aesthetic. Magic be my heritage with unabashed identity, call me the middle passage guru. DIY queen, yes, honey. No matter if it be fashion, music, art of this body, there ain't an idea you could have without me. Bush and tribe, the hive, the way we move and keep moving, non-conforming, proper, and hood. It's a dichotomy, but you the only one that's confused. Made a way out of no way. Made a way out of no way. Broke the glass, not a ceiling gone. You want to act like a black woman didn't do it, haven't done it, and won't continue to school you. I made a subject out of myself. So even when they try and stop me, copy, or erase me, I reboot a futuristic somebody and still stay the same. Touched and untouchable, boxed and bothered, persistent, punk, pierced and resisting. I got all this power I can't use. Made all these impressions, but somehow my bank account got reduced. My culture be endangered. Cause mainstream get to try on my face, steal my attitude, and make all of my black women trendy without having to give a black woman credit. But I showed up. Like I've been doing. Allow me to reintroduce myself to the anti-establishment, AKA black women been, always will be lit. Y'all all right? Y'all still good? Cool. So, I just want y'all to know, like, I'm gonna read 2 poems. I know people are like, we didn't come here to see you read no poems, but it's gonna happen. So we're just gonna clear that up, okay? Just so you know. You know what I'm saying? Clearly. No, you're so funny. But listen, so like my whole thing is I was like, how do I want to put my set together? This is a really fun thing for me to like put together sets. And like I get charged, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, how do I really want to do this? And a thing that came to mind, we were talking yesterday, like us of the poets, the people, we was talking. And like the conversation of like how you got your start and all this other kind of stuff. And I tell this story about how like when I was 8, I started writing poetry. It was really awful, right? And it wasn't good. And like this idea of, at some point in time, I had stopped talking. Around the age of 8, I stopped talking. My parents was like in this really abusive relationship. And so I stopped talking because like it just felt like a lot of silence was happening that needed to happen. And I was, just a lot of trauma, right? And if we fast forward into me being in college, in undergrad, I got an English and Communication Studies bachelor's, right? Like I double majored or whatever because I'm smart. But no, like, but it costs a lot of money. And so like, but I just want to put that in there. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody be like, yeah, no, it was not smart, friends. You ain't really no need to do that. But yeah, so the thing of it was is that like the thing of it was is that one of my professors, I got my first F in an English class, right? Yeah, I know, it was wild. And Professor Cohen, like you should look him up, he's trash. And he literally told me, he was like, you're not gonna be a writer. You should be something else, right? You're not a good writer. And he would tell me that you don't have like clear and consecutive thoughts. And I think I've spent a lot of my career trying to figure out how to be a writer and trying to prove like Professor Cohen wrong when like it happened already, but I'm still like in there, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta get him, right? But what I didn't know is that I had, I was diagnosed later, I have like a fluency disorder to where like some people think of like fluency mostly that comes up for a lot of people is when people stutter, right? But there's also a thing like when people just don't talk, and their brain is like literally going faster than what their mouths can say, and so I just would get quiet. So that's what was happening with me. But in like you can't say that at the time because I was just like, all right, he said I'm not good at writing, like I'm gonna prove him wrong, bitch, fuck you. But and did. No, so now because he's at Texas State, so now when I go to Texas State to perform, I always ask if Professor Cohen can come and join us to the, come sit in the front row. But he never comes. I don't know. He might not be alive anymore. I know, it got dark real quick, but I'm just telling you, like, he was already old, and so I just wanted to say. I don't know, he could be dead. Oh, that's not, y'all are awful. That's not funny. That man could be dead, bruh, like. This is dedicated to Professor. This is dedicated to Professor Cohen. Or not, you know what I'm saying? I think we got to really think about this. Do we want him to die in peace? Like, I don't know, rest in peace? So what you saying? I know poetry. I know 8-year-old me and me now still hold the pen funny. I've always had a hard time letting things go. Got a grip and an escape plan to get free, but before I let go, let me get my hair braided. I know how to keep my head still, bob on beat even when everything feels off and still. Put on for my city because we got in my hood. I know MLK, Garth Road, and Main Street run from the east side to the south side till I die. I better know how to code switch. When the gunshots pop, call them fireworks. When the cops stop you, make sure you say yes, sir, no, sir. Celebrate staying alive by speaking in compromise and concern for the oppressor. I know my mama prayed in tongues and slam poetry, and the point is she wrote a check to get me out of the hood, to send me off to privilege, and the whole hood will be there if you ever want to come back, because the swamp slabs slow and candy painted red and gold grills say I got potential, but didn't know black excellence could turn a new trick into imposter syndrome while thinking in complex. I know dark-skinned black girls stand out, stand strong, and don't get to identify as soft or delicate. Forget a black girl song, women. I know our value is measured by how much we overextend while attempting to interrupt. Be first, jab, jab, body work, left hook, bob, and weave, and I know I'm strong. It's in the footwork. Still, I want to be cared for. And even when everything I'm trying to balance feels heavy, I know how to keep my head up, let the tears bob down somebody else's face. Your poems are so relatable, but did you know they don't do enough? Or at least that's what the rejection letters say. Yeah, wade in the water, muck and mire. The sun will come out tomorrow, but ain't no sunshine when she's gone. So what you saying? I know flow, pace, and technique. I went to school for this, paid close attention to lessons and readings, teaching hate and erased me. I know my professors add weight just by talking at me like I'm dumb, and if you're gonna write about where you come from, just make sure you use your inside voice. Make sure it's fascinating and oppressive. Rich but rags to riches rich. Rich homie Quan, black back bending, black make you feel some type of way, or you could just retire black phrases, faces, and spaces, ball till you fall, talking about how hard it is, but not in a way that'll make white folks feel bad about what they did, continue to do. Is it systemic or systematic? I know 8-year-old me and me now still think in ghetto dreams and habits. We did it while being poor. I know white folks using the word ghetto to describe anything is a racial slur. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. They don't care because you ain't going to write nothing worth keeping a nobody like you alive nowhere. Wait, are you a writer? Is your poetry not white conforming enough? A black person was murdered today. Should I write it in a way that makes you forget how much it hurts or distract you from the pain, everything I did while bleeding blood, and constructing a breathtaking poem on pages, added the word nigga just so white folks can know what it feels like to have their tongues in cages? I know I have no interest in writing poetry born of suffrage and sacrifice still. I gotta make use of strong literary devices to elevate how divisive it feels to be divided from how I feel about existing while being me. I know some black literaries, gatekeeping white spaces, wanna be in spaces that don't wanna make space for all of us, a new case of gentrification. I know what it's like to entrust and be tricked by a favorite, unable to keep their promises. Abusers can literally write anything, including activism, as performance. I know what it's like to mourn a hero that became an overseer to the hood's trauma. And you can't say, gotta keep harmful idols alive and understood. It's so unstable. I had to unbraid my truth from the table. This crown be weighted blood. Still have a hard time letting things go. Temporarily blinded, saw Paul me a poet. But keep quiet, and silence is the language of gods. This, I know. Okay. So I've been doing this thing. Thank you, you're so kind. I've been doing this thing where like I've been like crying and not able to control it, right? Like it be getting like, friend, wrap this up. But like grief is an interesting thing, right? And it's non-linear and it happens and it just happens and it just keeps happening. And I'm like, when is it over? I want to unsubscribe. So I'm saying that to say if I get emotional, I'm fine. And I also don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. So yeah, you be regular human beings. I'll be a regular human being. We all gonna be like some regular human beings, and it's all good, yeah? Is there, okay, show of hands, how many of you have pockets on your clothing right now? Oh, it's a lot of y'all, damn. Okay, put your hands down. How many of you that have pockets on your clothing identify as a man? Okay, let's see. Always, let's do this. If you identify as a woman and you have pockets on your clothes, raise your hand. Okay. You're like, where are we going with this? It's gonna come full circle, Sugarfoot, don't worry, I got you. I'm on this thing where it's like, I'm not buying clothing that doesn't have pockets. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why is you making clothing without pockets? But I looked it up. I got pockets. You just want to see my booty like, wow. I fell for it, kid. You know what I'm saying? Damn, y'all out here in Lansing doing it like that? Okay. Wow, it's different. I wasn't expecting it. Masaki. Okay, but I'm back. So, but no, there's this thing. So I looked it up as to like why, like women's clothing specifically do not have pockets, and there's a whole history about it. Do you all know the history? No. Yeah, like it was like a whole thing, like to oppress women. They didn't trust women, and like they also felt like the man should hold on to their things, their belongings, because women were also property. It is wild. You know what I mean? Like when you look it up. And so then like it became this thing where like they had the make-believe pockets, right? Have you seen those? It's not an actual pocket. Yeah, right. It don't have right. And then they started with the little slits, and all you can fit in there is a quarter or a dime or maybe a key, maybe, you know what I'm saying? But like a hairpin, something like, right. But then they went back and they started like putting the purses, when they formed the bags or whatever, they started putting them between the women's legs. Y'all gotta look it up. It is so ridiculous. Because they felt like it looked too masculine for women to have pockets, so that's why they created purses, right? Because a bag or a purse is like more feminine. Anyways, I'm off that. I want pockets. I want pockets more than I want men in politics. Empty hands and broken promises. Women need pockets, not suffering or another tomorrow that looks like today. I want pockets to hold my own property. I belong to me. I get to decide, and I say women need pockets for survival and the freedom to unleash every bitch and beast we've been called and whatever else that doesn't belong to she, they. We need pockets. Because privacy is not just some luxury men with dirt on their hands get to keep. How dare we also be poems and secrets we also get to hold on to, mouths and minds, powerful, dangerous, deliberate, rebellious women give us pockets big enough to turn parachute or fit into, pull ourselves out of. This woman's work be worth it. I want pockets more than I want patriarchy and whatever else is ugly and unserving. I want pockets as tall as the patience I've built, as wide as the pain I've kept, as long as the endurance I've always had to have. I want angry pockets, messy pockets, fun pockets, slutty pockets, exploding pockets, or maybe just pockets that will allow me to escape from anything. I want pockets so deep they lose silence. Or the state of mind that reinforces the belief that women are weak and needy. I want pockets that get to mind or start their own business. I want evaporative pockets that dissolve tears, fears, lies, and garbage. I want pockets for women born of flames and a rage they couldn't blow out. I want to take my mouth out of my pockets and let everything I say be fire so I can light your ass up. I choose violence. I choose pockets that carry the heartbeat of women who are fed up with not having pockets. Here we are carrying hormones, hatred, guns, depression, the sun, and open wounds. But this time, I went inside myself and returned as a machete, a hanger, a chancla, and the moon. Women need pockets for protection. I want to release these hands to dance and fight and fly and write grief, a love letter saying it's time to let go now. I got to make room for me. Give me pockets. Give me peace. That book is in the back. You can get it if you want. It's fine. I don't know your money situation. Like I'm also really bad at like pushing merch. Like you know what you can afford. You feel me? Like you know what's happening with your bank account. That's between you and your God. I don't know. But everybody got a little money in the Cash App and Venmo. Is all I'm saying. You always got to have a little bit of money. No, I'm messing with you. I don't know. It's your business. Anywho. I'm actually going to just do one more poem and then, get out of the way so we can have T. Miller come to the stage. I'm always really excited to see T because I don't get to see her perform very much. And she's a beautiful, talented writer. And so, I get excited to perform with my friends, but also, I don't get to see her perform a lot, you know what I'm saying? So you're in for a treat, truly. When I think about, how I got started writing, and the story is like this over here with journaling, and that's how it transitioned. But when I think about slam and how I started slamming, it looks different because I initially thought that slam was battle rap. Yeah, I thought that. Wait, do y'all know what battle rap is? I'm just checking because, yeah. Okay, yeah. Wait, you saying yeah, or you knew what I was thinking while I asked? Oh, okay. I see. Anywho, and so I thought that it was battle rap, and I was really into just my very first slam. I went and I had information on people, and I was like, yeah, I know he don't take care of his kids. I'm gonna add that. I was coming for people's necks. It was crazy, and yeah, and I went up there and was killing it. And the person that was my attention was on, they was oh my God, right? And the person who became my coach pulled me to the side. He was like, hey baby, we don't do that. We write poems. And I was like, oh, I got that. Why y'all ain't say that? I got poems. But if we transition into, I'm not proud of it, you know what I mean? But it's a part of my story. It's who I am now. You know what I mean? Wow. And so, like, yeah, like, you know, but now we do something different. We do poems, you know what I mean? But every once in a while, I got to get back in the bag of, like, spitting bars, right? And so, like, I'm like, how can I merge the bars and the poetry and also, like, talk about me being a full-time artist and being on the road and what that looks like and how daunting and how amazing it is that I love, right? I'm an artist, which also means I'm a creator since I create things. A storyteller since I have stories to tell. A visionary, I write about where I've been. These poems act as self-help. I'm a healer. Not always for myself, but one time a kid told me he almost killed himself, but he heard one of my poems and decided to keep living. And from that day forward, I was like, today is a good day to keep someone alive. People ask me how I did it or how they should do it, and I'm not sure if they're asking me about the kid or themselves. What I've come to learn is, can't nobody tell when I'm not doing well but me. I get to travel across the country and do poems for a living like that's my job. And out of 50 states, I performed in 48 of them. I read an article that said only 20% of people in the U.S. are doing what they love, whatever sad statistic it was. And I was like, my God, ain't damn nothing in me. I'm doing exactly what I've always wanted to do, so I must be blessed. Must be exemplifying all this miracle. I am stressed and winning. I look at and update my curriculum vitae daily, and I be like, damn, I'm surprised I even knew how to say that word. And ain't nobody wish nothing bad on me but me. Like everything I ever wanted, I manifested at the end of each meditation. I asked the universe to make me undeniably enough. And people be mad happy when I show up. One time, I performed for 200,000 people and I didn't throw up. It was so cool and exhausting. Did you know? I could touch what feels like 1 million people's energy and help them feel seen, but go back to my hotel room feeling so fulfilled yet lonely. Yeah, it's amazing. Another time, I thought I was going to marry this guy I had been with for like 6 years out of my life, but he said he hated my lifestyle, even though this is my life's work, because my work means I'm never home, but every time I came back, he was gone. As an emotionally unavailable, mentally abusive, I have extreme PTSD from that unhealthy relationship, but someone asked me to do that one poem about that one time where he was mine. May you find a lover that helps you love yourself. May you find a lover that doesn't require you to give more to them than you have to give to yourself. Did I mention I paid off my student loans with poetry? Can't nobody tell me I'm not the shit but me. I get so sad sometimes. I think I'm losing my mind, and I must be since I enrolled in graduate school last May. I guess I returned to my oppressor. I am whoever I think I am, but I wish being a good person paid more. I heard it's the wounds that people can't see that hurt the most, but I've seen sunsets that look like somewhere tomorrow. My heart is on fire, so I'm chasing the day. At night, I don't sleep, I grind. I've been in my prime like 9 times. I got so much love, I give and keep giving. I have so many thoughts that are maybe just opinions. Did you know that people ask me how I'm doing by also commenting on my weight? And here I am, some foolish somebody that didn't actually hate the way they look today, but you're right, must be the depression. But I'm the kind of giant that's been through what I've been through and you could still depend on. I gave all that I had, and you ain't never known a black woman who ain't did that. My friends call on me when they're down and out or just in need, and what good is a God that can't speak life into somebody? Check on your strong friends. Check on your strong friends. Check on your strong friends. Don't believe us. I promise we're pretending. Have you ever tried to tell someone you're not okay, and they're like, you're good, and they're like, but I'm not, and they're like, you got this, and you're like, but I don't, and they're like, keep going, and you're like, you're right. I could do this with my eyes closed. I get so overwhelmed that one time I was drowning and screaming, but everybody thought I was swimming and smiling. I died in that dream, and then I woke up on an airplane flying to a different country to do poetry. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed that my life is crazy. My heart is racing. I'm probably dehydrated. Traveling does awful things to the body, but the one thing I could tell you about being successful is that you have to love what you're doing. Can't nobody steal my joy. Can't nobody steal my joy. Can't nobody steal my joy, not even myself. I heard or someone said, if your path is more difficult is because your calling is higher. So I say I be hero and legend. Nobody built like me, I designed myself. But every time I climb, my community get co-sign. Divinity defined. Cheers to the Most High. I just pray I leave something good behind. My name is Ebony Stewart. Thank you so much.
So it's one, math has always been a hard subject. So it should be no surprise that most of the people that we tend to count on fail us. Two, my love was a perfect sentence, and my ex was a typo that ruined it. Three, my mother's an author. I'm the best book ever written, and most of the people I've been in relationships with just can't read. Four, the interesting thing about liars is that they always know the truth. Five, Facebook and Instagram are priorities, but judging by most of the statuses that I read, spelling correctly has always been an option. Six, wash your face and your ass with 2 different towels. 7, God kicked Lucifer out of heaven because God knows that keeping your enemies closer is just stupid. 9, I mean, anytime you eat asparagus, your pee will always smell like some sort of venereal disease. I move my mouth next door to me so you can always know that I believe in my words. 10, my mouth is a rag and my new lover's body is nothing more than a plate that old lovers couldn't clean. Thank you. Yes, 10 things you sound like when you say all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter. And it's 1, you invite me to a breast cancer awareness walk to honor your late aunt. I arrive wearing all red. You tell me the colors are pink, and I say, I know. I just don't see the point of breast cancer awareness having its own walk when people are dying of AIDS. 2, your family pet goes missing. You post pictures of it all around your neighborhood. I come and post pictures of other people's missing pets from around the world on top of the picture of your missing pet. Well, because you ain't the only one missing a pet. 3, I show up to your grandmother's funeral and hand out my grandmother's obituaries. You ask why, and I'm like, you ain't the only one that lost a grandma. 4, I go into a hospital and change all of the intensive care unit signs to care unit signs because every life in the hospital should be cared for just the same. What makes intensive care unit patients think that their lives matter more than the life of Jenny on the first floor fighting the cold colds can kill you? 2, 5, your fiance stands you up at the altar, and as you're crying, I get up and yell, millions of people get broken up with every day, stop whining about it, which is something I would actually do, and that's why I'm in therapy. It's like, oh, this is all me, actually. 6, I show up to the Alcohol Anonymous meeting to get help for my cotton candy addiction. An addict is an addict. Obviously, we all deserve help. 7, you say Kaylee Anthony. I say, what about her? We still don't know who killed Lil John Benet Ramsey. 8, I say Black Lives Matter. You say you don't see color. 9, I say Dallas. You say Blue Lives Matter. I say I thought you didn't see color. 10, it sounds like when I say Black Lives Matter and you say all lives matter. 10, it sounds like when I say Black Lives Matter and you say all lives matter. 10, it sounds racist. It sounds inhumane. It sounds like you trying to choke us with our own grief. It sounds like all lives matter. But when we say Rekia Boyd, Philando Castile, Reese Walker, Corinne Gaines, Nia Wilson, Alton Sterling, Ayanna Jones, Kendrick Johnson, you say nothing. Thank you.